8.5 million people. Zero farms. No fields. No livestock. No orchards. Nothing grows here. And yet every single morning, every deli, every bodega, every five-star restaurant, every hospital cafeteria in this city is fully stocked. Fresh fish, fresh bread, fresh meat, like it just appeared. It didn't just appear. It was fought for, trucked in, fought for again, sorted in the dark by men you will never see, on a schedule that cannot break. Not once, not for a single day, or people start going hungry within 72 hours. This is the machine nobody talks about. This is how New York eats. And if it stops moving for even 3 days, the city eats itself alive. Start with the number. 8.5 million mouths. 3 meals a day. That's roughly 25 million meals every single day inside 5 boroughs that produce almost none of their own food. Compare that to a mid-sized country. Norway has 5 million people. New York needs to feed nearly double that population every day using food that was grown somewhere else entirely. Upstate farms, the Midwest, Florida citrus groves, South American fruit boats, fish pulled out of the Atlantic 400 miles away. None of it is local. All of it has to arrive on time. There is no buffer city, no backup borough with silos of grain waiting in reserve. New York runs on what economists call just-in-time delivery, which is a polite way of saying the entire city is one missed truck away from empty shelves. The building nobody knows. There's a place in the South Bronx most tourists have never heard of. Most Manhattanites have never heard of it either. It's called Hunts Point. It doesn't look like much from the outside. Warehouses, loading docks, chain-link fences, but inside those walls sits one of the largest food distribution complexes on the entire planet, bigger than some countries' entire national food reserves. This is where the city's food goes to get sorted before anyone even knows it exists. Produce arrives here first. Meat arrives here first. Fish gets auctioned here before the sun comes up, while the rest of the city is still asleep, still dreaming, completely unaware that their breakfast is being decided right now, in the dark, by men in rubber boots, yelling prices at each other. By the time a Manhattan chef plates a dish tonight, that fish has already been through 3 hands, 2 trucks, and 1 auction, all before 6 a.m. The city sleeps. Hunts Point never does. Here's what nobody tells you about how this actually works. The entire operation runs backwards from what you'd expect. While Manhattan sleeps, refrigerated trucks are already crossing bridges. Convoys moving through empty streets at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., timed down to the minute. Because if they hit rush hour traffic, the fish spoils, the produce wilts, and a restaurant's entire morning delivery collapses before the doors even open. Drivers who've done this route for 15 years know exactly which bridge backs up at which hour. They know which loading dock closes its gate at 5:45 sharp. Miss that window and your truck sits for 6 hours. 6 hours of ice melting, of temperature climbing, of profit margins evaporating in real time. This isn't logistics as a spreadsheet exercise. This is logistics as a war of inches, fought every single night by people whose names will never appear on a menu. Somebody's alarm goes off at midnight so that yours doesn't have to. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This system has almost no room for error. One bridge closure, one snowstorm, one trucker strike, one fuel shortage. Any single link in this chain snaps, and the effects hit grocery shelves within hours, not days, hours. Remember early 2020, the world watched New York shelves go empty in a matter of days, not because the food stopped existing somewhere in America, but because the machine that moves it here got disrupted. Panic buying broke the rhythm. Trucks that were scheduled for Tuesday didn't know where to go on Wednesday, and the system built on split-second timing had no idea how to absorb chaos. That's the terrifying part. This isn't a system with a safety net. It's a system that is the safety net, and there's nothing underneath it. Why does it work this way? Why not just build warehouses full of backup food, sitting in reserve, ready for anything? Because storage costs money. Real estate in New York is some of the most expensive on earth. Every square foot a warehouse uses to store just-in-case food is a square foot that isn't generating rent, isn't generating profit, isn't justifying its own existence, to a landlord who could charge triple for office space instead. So the market solved this problem the way markets always do. Not by building safety, but by building speed. Faster trucks, tighter schedules, smaller margins. The entire system optimized itself down to a razor's edge, because a razor's edge is cheaper than a cushion. Efficiency and fragility are the same coin. New York just bet on efficiency and hoped the coin never landed on its edge. Every part of this chain has a human being attached to it, who nobody claps for. The Hunts Point auctioneer has been calling fish prices since before some of these chefs were born. The trucker who hasn't seen his kids awake in a week because his shift starts at 1 a.m. The warehouse worker sorting crates in a freezer at 4 a.m. so a bodega in Queens has bananas by 7. These people are the actual infrastructure of New York City. Not the skyline, not the subway, them. And they get paid a fraction of what the system depends on them for. The margin between New York eats today and New York doesn't runs directly through people making close to minimum wage, doing work most of the city will never see, never think about, never thank. The city runs on their exhaustion and calls it normal. So next time you walk into a bodega at midnight and grab a sandwich without a second thought, understand what actually happened to put it there. A truck crossed a bridge in the dark. A worker sorted it in a freezer before sunrise. An auctioneer screamed a price nobody argued with. A driver gambled against traffic and won. All of it invisible. All of it timed to the minute. All of it one disruption away from collapse. 8.5 million people fed every single day by a machine with no reserve tank, running purely on momentum, purely on timing, purely on people who cannot afford to be late. New York doesn't have a food supply. It has a countdown clock that resets every 24 hours, and somebody, somewhere, is always racing to beat it.